So welcome here. This is Ken Davie. He's a lawyer who I work with, and I've been working with you, Ken, on and off for about almost 10 years. Mm-hmm. So I used to work in this office. This is Remax Professionals on Buffalo. Mm-hmm. So I started here. And so Ken, you've been in law for how long now?
Oh, I've been in law since, I can't believe it, but 1998.
1998.
You got it, yeah.
Okay.
So what is that, 21 years, I guess?
Actually, that was when I graduated from high school. So
yeah, there you go.
Yeah, 21 years almost.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, and what were you doing before that? Were you just in school? And
what I did before that, and that's probably, you were asking me why I got into law.
Yeah.
And before I went to law school, I was working in the heating, air conditioning business. I was installing furnaces, ductwork, hot water tanks, air conditioning, doing work with sheet metal, that sort of thing. Wow. And I did not enjoy it at all. I didn't enjoy working in a muddy basement and 40 below weather, and I didn't enjoy any aspect of it whatsoever, right? So I then thought, well, what should I do? Should I go back to school? And I knew I wanted to go back to school because I'd been out of school for a little bit,
right.
And I decided to go to law school. Again, probably part of that was because I remembered at the time, a few years earlier, I had tried to start this crazy alarm selling business.
Oh, yeah.
And you had to make an investment to get the alarm. And when I did that, I had the fellow that owned the company sign something in writing that if I didn't sell X number of alarms by such and such a date, I'd get my money back.
Okay.
I didn't sell any alarms, of course, right? And I didn't get my money back. So I I had a little bit of an interest in law at the time. I can't say that I grew up wanting to be a lawyer all my life, not whatsoever. But I knew I didn't want to continue in the heating and air conditioning field, and that's what I decided to do.
So you had that experience where it became pretty much a legal issue, where this investment, and then it got you interested in just the facts around that, and then got you thinking about law. So it sort of was like a little bit of a push or an interest.
Yeah, and I knew I wanted to do something where that would be a professional vocation, and that's just what I decided to do. Yeah,
you could do it forever, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, and I forgot to introduce you as to where you are and so on.
Oh.
So you were the Olszewski and Davie, and so you have you guys are both partners. Is there any other partners in your firm?
Well, when we first started our firm, the firm started in 1999, and at the time it was Olszewski Foyer. So there was Richard Olszewski, Jeremy Foyer that started the firm. I joined them 4 months later, and then immediately came on as a partner. So then it was Olszewski, Foyer, and Davie.
Right.
Then Jeremy Foyer went on his own a number of years ago, so it's just Olszewski Davie now, which has been for a number of years. Yeah.
Okay. Great. Yeah, I just thought I'd introduce you properly because I don't think I
right.
And okay, and it's interesting when you talked about how you got into law, because that's a little bit how I decided to become a broker in real estate. Is there was an issue with a deal that I was doing where I represented the seller, and the seller basically jumped ship, and my client, and moved out of, and that was part of selling, was to move provinces. But what ended up happening was the lawyer that I was dealing with at the time, because as you know, I was in a business group, so I was unfortunately obligated to work with that lawyer. But a new lawyer, that firm released the deposit to pay off the debts owing on title, but there was something that wasn't on title, and it was 2 years of property tax. It only came up as a city tax search, I think.
Okay, yeah.
So nobody communicated that between myself and my broker at the time, and so I didn't get paid anything. I think I paid $300 for the deal.
Yeah.
And my client ran away with money, and so I had to go through that experience of figuring out who was at fault first. And it actually wasn't 100% the lawyer, it was also the broker, because the broker didn't have to release the deposit.
Right.
So it got me into the Real Estate Brokers Act more in depth, and then that got me to think, well, why don't I just become a realtor?
Do this on my own.
Yeah. So it's sort of the same thing.
Right. Yeah.
But yours, of course, is more interesting because you're in a completely different business, which is cool. But also, you have some experience with real estate, and that's my next question: is why particularly real estate law? Like, what drew you into that versus, say, criminal or family or something else?
I articled with the province of Manitoba Civil Legal Services, where I was doing a lot of research, a lot of paper writing, and that's not me. I don't enjoy that at all.
Right.
What I do enjoy, and what like Richard Olszewski, we had been friends for many years. So when he started this firm with Jeremy, it was very appealing because it was generally related to real estate. That was their goal. And that appealed because it's black and white. It's get in, get the job done, and move on to the next one. And it's not a ongoing process that takes years and there's not research involved and brief writing and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I just don't enjoy that whatsoever. I enjoy more of the hands-on, meeting the clients, meeting with real estate agents, marketing the business side of it as well. So, excuse me, that's why I think I like real estate, predominantly because it's black and white.
Yeah.
And it's there's a start and a finish. There's a deadline, the possession date.
Yes.
And you get in, get it done, and you move on.
Yeah.
And you're generally dealing with people that are happy.
I was going to say.
Yeah. So you're not dealing. It's not family law where it's a divorce and I think I would find that somewhat depressing and not very fulfilling probably. But there's probably lawyers that would find real estate. They'd rather go to the dentist maybe. But yeah.
So definitely people in general, it's a happy experience and they want to proceed with this. It's exciting and it's transactional.
Yeah.
But like you said, it's generally less headache and less hardship even for you because you have to take that home with you. Depressing cases and heavy cases and so that makes sense that you'd want to go into real estate and focus on that.
Yeah, and generally I'm meeting people who are very excited. They're moving into maybe their first home, or they're moving into their dream home, or they're buying their cottage, or whatever it may be. But at the same time, I'm dealing with people that are probably making the biggest purchase of their life.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stress involved, and there's a lot of hand holding and just comforting the client. It's part of my job too, just to let them know we know what's going on, and we've done this many times, and everything's okay.
Yes.
Everything's proceeding fine. Yeah.
One of the reasons actually, there's many reasons I work with you, but one of the main reasons is that you have a very streamlined system,
right,
where everything is high touch, high communication, and smooth.
Mm-hmm.
And I really appreciate that because even if there's some automation there, it doesn't matter to me because right away I'll get a confirmation that you received the file from your office.
Yeah.
And then it mentions in another email or the same one who's assigned to the file. And it's just so smooth.
Yeah.
And it's one form of communication. So if we start an email, which is most of the time, it's email all the way through, it's just so fluid. And then also you're quite affordable because you've built a system, I think, right, that works where you're predominantly doing real estate. So the math works better
right,
for you, which works great for my clients too.
I could tell you a little bit about our process if you'd like. So once the agents have completed the transaction, the paperwork will come to me.
Okay.
Then what we do is we have 3 CSRs, customer service reps, who will take the paperwork, they offer to purchase, open up a file, they'll do all the searches, the title search, tax search, and whatnot. And they will then send a letter to the agent just to let them know we've got the offer, and they'll contact the client to do an interview. So there's just a short introductory interview, which then and then they'll send out an opening package to the client as well by way of mail. The client, and when we first started our firm, we didn't necessarily contact the client right away. So the clients were wondering, well, have you got my offer? Are you working for me? So now right away the clients are contacted. They meet the CSR, and then they're also told who their paralegal will be, which we have 4 or 5 senior paralegals that handle the transaction. Once we receive the mortgage instructions, if it's a purchase or if it's a sale, once all of our documents are ready, then the paralegal will contact the client to set up an appointment, and then the clients will be offered any of our 4 offices to meet with a lawyer to sign the documents. If they want to meet with me, they have to come to the 1601 Buffalo Place location, which is where I work from. Yeah, where we are now.
Right.
And I prefer that because I prefer to meet all my clients. But there's certainly, if they live out Henderson or something, they're certainly welcome to go out to the Henderson location.
Right.
So so it's a good system. Communication, I find, is the biggest thing.
Yeah. I agree.
That intro letter, that intro contact, and responsiveness to questions that any clients might have through the whole process.
Mm-hmm.
Returning phone calls. That's a big thing with me, is get back quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we do a good job of that.
Yeah, you do. And in the past, working with other lawyers, that first point you mentioned about who's my lawyer again, and how do I contact them, and that's come up, I can think of several times in my career. And something as simple as right away, here's the information that we need from you, you need from us. This is how we're going to communicate, if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that. And my clients have, as of late, because you've been getting a lot more business from, actually all my business so far this spring, have been saying you're fantastic and it's very smooth and
that's good.
We're happy, and so that's really great.
Yeah, that's nice to hear.
Yeah. It's great. So what other legal services could you or do you offer other than just real estate?
So our firm, I predominantly just do real estate.
Right.
We deal with commercial real estate as well.
Okay.
We have 3 lawyers in our firm that are devoted to doing primarily commercial real estate. We have lawyers that deal with wills and estates, lawyers that deal with family law, litigation, essentially most areas of law other than criminal work. We don't deal with any criminal work. So, David, if you're ever in jail, don't call me. I wouldn't know what to do.
No, and your firm would.
We wouldn't know what to do. Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, and one thing we do, one thing I mentioned to all of my real estate clients is at the end of the meeting, I do ask them if they have a will and if they're interested in getting that done. And it's not so much a sales pitch.
Mm-hmm.
It's just something that I just ask them, and if they are interested, I have one of the lawyers in my office contact them, and it works well.
So what are your thoughts about handing that business to someone else? Is that because of where you want to focus, or are you just being honest with what you want to focus on? Like
you mean like dealing with another lawyer in the firm?
Yeah, instead of saying I'll take on everything.
Oh, I'm too busy to do that.
Yeah.
I've found over the year, I used to do wills and estates, and I found that if you focus on 1 or 2 aspects of law, you can do those well.
Yeah. When
you dabble in all areas, you don't do maybe anything really, really well. And we have lawyers that's what they do, wills and estates, and they do an excellent job. And they all work for us as well, so it's not like I'm giving it up. And I mean, they're still working for the firm, right? So yeah,
and you're still a quarterback, basically.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, and this is something that a question that I thought would be really valuable for a lot of our viewers and listeners is for first-time buyers.
Yeah.
So for first-time buyers, what would be one piece of advice you would give them sitting in your chair?
Yeah, actually, I noticed you had that question there, and I was thinking about that. I guess,
even if it's obvious to you and me.
Yeah, I think that, like, for a first-time buyer, there's 3 people they want to line up. That's a very good real estate agent,
right,
such as yourself, someone that they can count on and rely on, that knows what they're doing.
Right.
And that might sound obvious, but get a good agent.
Yeah.
Number 2, line up a good a banker. So whether that be a mortgage broker or someone that works for a particular bank, mm-hmm, whatever that may be, deal with someone that you know is good. And then get a lawyer lined up that does real estate.
Yeah.
So whether that be me or any other lawyer in the city that does real estate, very important. Yeah. First time buyers, and I guess prepare yourself, because you can determine in advance how much money you're going to have to complete the transaction.
Right.
Because that's a big thing too. A lot of buyers don't quite understand that, yes, you may be putting down just 5%, but there's a lot of other closing costs that you have. There's your land transfer tax, there's your legal fees, there's the cost of registration of the mortgage, there's the title insurance, there's a property tax adjustment, there's 30 days interest that you'll need to bring into your lawyer. There's a variety of things, and we actually have a brochure, and
Yes, I have it.
yeah, and that explains everything you need to know about buying or selling real estate as far as the costs. So that's very good to educate yourself about that, because I've found that some agents and some bankers don't do a great job of educating their clients about that. So when it comes to giving the client their closing costs, that's the amount of money that the client needs to bring in on closing. They don't have they're shocked how much it is. And then they think, oh, well, why are your legal fees so high? And that's just a little part of that. The rest of it is the rest of their down payment, the land transfer tax, all of those things, right? And they all add up. So
Which aren't
you got it.
legal fees, really. They're not fees that, like, they're costs. Really.
That's right.
Yeah, so it's not like you in particular are charging that. It's anybody would have to pay that with any lawyer.
That's right.
And yeah, so those are good points. And your brochures are fantastic. And I had one of my clients I sent you this spring ask me some questions like that. Cost, what should I expect? And I sent her, actually, I just took screenshots, or not screenshots, photos of the
Right.
brochure.
So the brochure, and just emailed it to her.
And she was like, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you. And it was great because it was from your office, not just from me finding things online
Right.
and just sending
Yeah.
a bunch of links,
Right, yeah.
which is great. So that's awesome. And you mentioned something about picking a good realtor and a lawyer. So some first-time buyers don't realize that there's two realtors involved and two lawyers involved. And many first-time buyers will contact the listing realtor of a particular property and say, can you help me? And there's pros and cons to that.
Right.
Mostly cons, because of course you have to retell your story every time to the different realtor, every property you inquire about. And with a lawyer, I've had it once where somebody said, well, I don't have a lawyer. Why don't you just use the seller's lawyer? It'll just be better. And so some people, especially first-time buyers, may not realize that they need people on their side only.
Yeah.
We're
I guess you were talking about having a lawyer represent you and an agent represent yourself.
Yeah, so it's important to have people on your side only, of course. So
I will act for, there are times when people will ask me to act on both sides of a transaction, and I certainly will do that if both parties are comfortable with it.
Yeah.
But if the party that contacted me first is not comfortable with that, then I won't do it.
yeah, and I've had that situation once.
Yeah.
Where my client was physically not able to move, easily move. He had MS and couldn't walk, and he was way out by the Mint. And the lawyer I had at the time just refused to accommodate him. It was really embarrassing, actually, and so I just was lost for people because I needed someone in a couple of days. And that lawyer at the time, this was about 6 years ago.
Yeah.
But again, I'm coming back to working with people that I want to work with exclusively.
Right.
I don't like having 4 or 5 people and having people choose, because I might not want to use any of those other people.
Right.
So anyway, back to you, Ken.
Sure.
So also, why did you make Winnipeg home? I never asked you if you grew up here. I think you were from Saskatchewan, right?
No. I grew up in Winnipeg.
Winnipeg.
I've lived in Winnipeg all my life, other than a brief 9-month period when I went to Saskatchewan to work for a law firm in Saskatchewan.
Okay.
And I got my call to the bar in Saskatchewan as well.
Okay.
But I haven't kept that up. I came back when we started this firm, and I've been here ever since.
So you obviously like it.
Oh, we love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great city. Yeah. There's football, there's hockey, there's arts, there's restaurant. I mean, everything you could imagine is in Winnipeg. So my wife and family love it. Yeah.
And so, so people can learn a bit more about you. What are some of your favorite things to do?
Well, I'm a huge hockey and football fan. I'm a huge Montreal Canadiens fan. So my wife and I make a point of going to watch some hockey in Montreal every year.
And you were there recently.
We were there recently, yeah. And they won, but they didn't make the playoffs, so that was disappointing. But there's hockey. We have season tickets for the Bombers. I play a lot of golf.
Yes.
So big golfer, and love going to movies and just being with my kids. So we have 3 children and my wife and myself. So it's a busy household, and love spending time with them. That's my priority for sure.
That's really good.
Yeah.
And how can people find you? You have 4 offices now. So first of all, right 4.
Yeah, we have an office at 1601 Buffalo Place, which is where we are now.
Right.
We have an office at 663 Stafford.
Okay.
We have an office at 590 Main, where all of my staff work out of.
Yes.
Close to City Hall, just slightly north of City Hall.
Yeah, Disraeli and
Main, basically.
Yeah.
And we have an office at 1919 Henderson.
See, that one is, I think, the newest, right? No.
Henderson? No.
Okay.
No, we've had. Yeah. No, it's not. No, it's not. Sorry, that was essentially our first office ever.
Oh, where exactly in Henderson? Because I'm off of Henderson personally.
Yeah, it's in the Remax office.
Way down.
Yeah. On Henderson, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I use that lockbox a lot.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Right.
Okay, so you're there. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
And then how can we find
same parking lot as the Smitty's on Henderson?
Yes.
That's what people know. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And how can people find you online? You guys have a website?
Email address. It's kdavie@od-law.ca.
Okay.
There's our website and
your phone number.
My phone number, 204-478-1677.
Perfect. And just a final bonus question.
Sure.
And I think maybe you thought about these ones. So your favorite Netflix shows and the last movie you saw?
Yeah, right. Well, we do like watching a lot of movies, my wife and myself. So I think the show that we watched on Netflix that we've very much enjoyed, but we're done now, is This Is Us.
Yes.
It's a great show.
Yes, I haven't seen it, but I heard about it.
You haven't seen it? Yeah, you should watch it. It's good. So there's that, and a couple movies on Netflix that I really enjoyed were The Silence of Music, I think it was called.
Okay.
And The Invisible Guest. That was excellent. That one's subtitled, but it's a phenomenal movie.
Okay.
And everyone I've recommended that movie just loves it.
So I will watch it.
Invisible Guest, yeah, for sure. And as far as movies,
that's
in the theater, I don't know, I can't remember the lot. We do go. Oh, we saw The Mule with Clint Eastwood. That was quite good.
Oh, really? Yeah, but he's a great director.
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
so
he's been in some good ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, my wife and I saw this. We love scary movies, and we saw Us, which is Jordan Peele. He's actually a comedian.
Yeah.
Him and what's his name? Key. But it was really fantastic. Well written.
Okay.
But it's a horror movie.
Yeah.
But really well written, and so we were riveted by that movie and great writing.
Okay, right on.
But yeah, Netflix. Well, I can go on for minutes.
Yeah, there's a few good movies on Netflix.
Yeah.
The worst thing is when someone says, "Let's watch a movie on Netflix." Like, half an hour later, you still haven't found something. You know that.
Yes.
You can agree. Yeah, but
you're sort of screening them or going through the first few minutes.
Yeah.
I know what the feeling.
We watched that series Dirty John the other day.
Okay. Oh, I think I've heard of that. Who's in it?
It's new.
No one famous.
Yeah, no. I forget his name now. But it's based on a true story. It's I think 6 or 7 or 8 episodes. It was interesting. Yeah.
Well, thanks, Ken, for meeting with me.
You're very welcome.
And doing this video, and I know you have a busy schedule, and I do too. But really, it's more important to be able to sit down with you, and I'm sure that we'll do a lot more business together. And I'm glad that people can at least meet you online, because my clients can actually watch a video with you now or listen to podcasts and learn about you before I even introduce you to them.
You got it, yeah.
So I really appreciate that.
Sure, yeah. And if your clients ever just have a question, feel free to just have them give me a call or email, and I'd be glad to help them out.
Will do. Thanks, Ken.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, David.
Okay.